Welcome back to Ladies of Another View, and I want to welcome back our returning guest, Donna Jackson. She's a member of Project 21. She's also an accountant, and she has worked both with some pretty big private companies and also in the public sector too for some notable people. I think Mike Huckabee was one of them. But welcome to the show, Donna.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be back.
You know what I saw? I don't think I've ever said this, but didn't you graduate cum laude in your?
I did the top of my class, and I think that
Wow.
one thing that's notable is I actually finished my bachelor's degree in 2.5 years.
Wow.
Wow. So you know your stuff, economics.
I was taking 24 to 26 units a semester, and I worked for Ernst & Young during their busy season. So
Wow.
Oh,
Look at
my
you.
God.
So the rest,
exceeded itself.
everything else is a cakewalk now, right?
Yeah, and
After
that's why
that.
I advocate for merit-based.
Yeah, there you go.
That's why I said that, but all of Project 21 is about really black leaders in our society saying that it's basically racist to not let people have merit and give everybody their chance and their opportunities, like you. And you have a very impressive resume. But I want to jump into one of the topics is what's going on with Biden and inflation right now. Being an accountant, you're the perfect person to talk to us about this.
I mean, you know that Biden and the left flooded the market with money. The only way you can get inflation is if the government spends too much money. It's their monetary policies. They push through the Inflation Reduction Act. They push through a lot of spending, and they actually have more people that want goods, and it's fewer goods to go around. So that's why you have inflation. You have people that are competing for a limited number of goods. Add that to the backup in terms of being able to get goods to the country, then that makes it even worse. Worse than that is then he had this war on fossil fuels. So everything that he's doing is the wrong thing if you want to be able to support middle class families. You're making the cost of fuel go up. You're making the cost of employment go up in terms of wages, and then you're flooding the market with money. So you have few goods, too many people, and too many people buying the same goods. And then you're slowing down production because companies and corporations cannot produce the goods at the prices that they want. And so then that's why we're having this Bidenomics. I mean, it's the worst case scenario. And the biggest problem is that they're not slowing down. They continue to overspend. So the American people are not going to get any relief, because this administration thinks that they're just doing the right things, and the problem is that we Americans are greedy and expect to be able to go to the supermarket, and pick up a package of meat or get items from the grocers, and they think it's our problem, but it's really the government overspending, and that's the bottom line.
And I just wonder if anybody is really buying that, the lies that the Biden administration is putting out there in terms of inflation. Why is it that the feds are using the consumer price index? Is that even really accurate?
I mean, no, because they give a percentage, which is usually a single digit. The reality is groceries have gone up 20%. Housing, everything is up double digits. Here's the thing, Biden will tell you that inflation is going down, but what he doesn't say is that it was already at a record high, and it's actually his ideal of inflation going down is it's not rising as fast as it was, which is already record. So, for example, you have rent that used to be $1,200 a month. Now it's $1,600 a month. Well, what's happening is it went up $1,800 a month instead of $2,000 a month. And that he thinks is actually fighting inflation. But it's already $600 more than it was. And so that's why people are struggling. That's why people say that the economy is the number one issue, because everything is at a record high, which is more than wages have gone up, and they're increasing at a slower rate, but they're still increasing, but they're not deflating. And that's the issue, because they're not going back to a normal level, which they were before he took office. And to make matters worse, is he still spending at COVID levels? You know, they're still putting through spending packages and budgets at the COVID level, which was different than our normal budgets that we put through. We shouldn't be spending at a level where people actually were forced to stay home and actually couldn't have jobs, and that's what we're doing right now.
And
So everything they're doing is the wrong thing if you want to help average American individuals.
right, and much as I dislike this administration, because I really, really do, I also dislike the fact that our Congress in DC continues to okay this spending. And when does it stop? I mean, if I was always told that the House controls the purse strings, and if they don't want to give out the money, they can vote it down and we'll be good. And it keeps getting passed over and over and over. Are you, how can you address that at your level as far as the common citizen? How do we get them to wake up and say, you cannot keep spending like this? You know it and we know it. What are you going to do about it?
I mean, this is very frustrating for every American, especially we send people to Congress to vote on our behalf and in our best interest. And to be honest with you, they're not doing that right now. I mean, right now, they're funding organizations, agencies that are actually going after average American citizens. They're actually rubber stamping budgets that actually are helping to increase inflation. I think that every member, I don't say who you vote for, but I think that every person needs to make sure that their congressman and the people that they put in office is actually serving their purpose and exercising some kind of fiscal responsibility. And to be honest with you, that's not happening. We have agencies that were set up to solve a certain problem. And so we said, I'm giving you, a fictitious example. We're going to serve 50 individuals, and then say, I'm going to help 50 low-income families. And then the next year, they submit a budget and say, well, we, instead of serving 50 low-income individuals, we're going to serve 100. Well, what are they doing? Purposely creating legislation, purposely creating regulations to make sure they have an additional 50 individuals to service, rather than the way things should be measured is how much you actually decrease the number of people that you're helping. Because if we're having a war on poverty, if we're actually supposed to be serving American citizens that can't help themselves, then we should see a reduction in the number of people that we're serving with our agencies. But that's not what's happening. We're actually incentivizing government employees to create more poverty.
Wow.
To create more people to service, because careerism, and because that's how the budgets are set up. So all of our agencies are growing. They're not getting smaller.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's a great point.
That's problematic. It's the same reason why you have rogue Department of Justice right now. Because if they say they're going to do we did one wiretap this year, we need to do 4 next year. So then they just find random people to wiretap.
Right. So it's upside down logic.
being reduced.
It's
and
upside
not-
down logic, yeah. So they're bragging we're serving more and more people, and your point is well taken. Well, maybe you need to create a program where less and less people need to be served. If they
And
can
where are
stand
the
on their own two
stats
feet.
that tell us that
Yeah.
they had some success with their program? You never see those
Yeah.
stats.
So what I would like to know is what's going on at Disney. So let's switch hats here. And I want to also just mention that Project 21 is a program of the National Center for Public Policy Research, nationalcenter.org. And they put out this article, Disney Donations. And some of the stockholders are going to go to their stockholder meeting and demand, they want to know, to disclose, what are the charitable contributions that Disney is making? And they are not disclosing that so far. And what kind of issues do we have going on here?
Well, you know what? We had this big switch in the corporate environment where instead of them creating a product that the market wants, individuals want to purchase, they're now using their companies as a platform for activism. And this is the wrong direction. Disney is a company that has always been a family-oriented company. They always were an entertainment company to help strengthen families. Now, what they're doing against their guidelines, this is important. They created guidelines that said they would not actually help and engage in activities that's controversial to their organization. Now what they have in their new executive branch is they're giving money to companies, one in particular that's problematic. This company helps kids transition from underage kids transition into these gender identities where a boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy. But what's more problematic about this is that they're teaching the kids to hide this information from their families. Now, the parents are responsible for the kids' health care, their well-being. That kids can't enter into contracts because they're too young. But somehow they think it's okay to hide from the parents the health and welfare of these individuals that want to transition. And I can tell you right now, these kids are not transitioning because they know anything about it. They're being coerced by the adults, parents, teachers, and all of these individuals that are pushing this narrative for them. Well, Disney is a family company that's supposed to strengthen families, but what they're doing now is going against and trying to dismantle the family, and that's what's problematic.
Well, I know that Disney has been at odds with DeSantis for some time now, and they've been in the news. What can be done to the board and to their CEO to hold their feet to the fire?
Well, when they start losing money, when they're more transparent and start losing money, people will stop patronizing them. I mean, you've seen it with Targets when they created this product line that, to be honest with you, they never had the number of individuals to buy these products in their store because that's not their business model. And you see the amount that they've lost in terms of their shares. We need to do the same thing with Disney. If they're going to say that we're against family formation, then maybe we shouldn't let them in our households. Maybe we shouldn't go to the theaters and watch their programs. Maybe we need to remind them that they're making a product for us and that we dictate what we want and not they tell us what we should have. Keep your activism to yourself and don't spread that and give that point of view to families to say this is what we stand for. That's
Thank
the
you,
wrong way
Donna.
to-
Thank you, Donna. And part of the problem is they're putting it in their movies and their products and their TV shows. So that's part of the problem, and people don't want it. So thank you for letting us know what's going on.